Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4 Last Days of Europe with me, Papa Omega, and Greater Germanic Reich. So I'm back with some more tea and I'm looking forward to seeing today what's gonna happen, because we are one step away from the Volksbund, and whatever that one will bring us, we will have to face it. And yeah, it's 6 days away. So let's hope that it's not gonna be a nightmare. So far so good. We've managed to slightly increase our social status. People are rebellious now, but we can manage that, and the tendency is definitely going upwards. So hopefully that's gonna be fine. We have 901 sympathizers in the Turkestan? I think it's Turkestan, yeah, Turkestan reunification. We still have 145 days to go, so about 4 months. So hopefully the Reich will be here in the 4 months that the game is talking about. As far as production goes, oh god, you did it again. Game, how I hate you. Anyway, let's unpause and see what's gonna happen. I'm also looking forward to the fact that we are going to finish the Advanced Destroyer research today. And we can thus design the new research. We can then design the new research, guys. Hip hip hooray! But I meant the new destroyer. That one is going to be important. So what do we have here? Spy versus spy. Oh, James Bond villain. Maintaining the flow of information was Vessel's job. No decision should be made without the most complete knowledge of the situation possible, and it was the Reich's Nachrichtendienst that kept these channels of information open. Or so he had thought. It seems Reinhardt had fallen into the old spymaster's trap, the hoarding of knowledge for his own sake. It was therefore up to Vessel to restart the flow. To the untrained eye, the headquarters of the Reich's foremost intelligence agency was just another office building. Cleaners have a unique ability to go unnoticed in a crowded room. All too easy for a loose sheet of paper or a cassette to fall into the bag while its owner was preoccupied. A microphone concealed within a lampshade might be noticed in an office, but nobody would even consider searching for one behind the bowl of a toilet, and the conversation became less formal when one has their fly undone. True, very much true. Gerhard now enjoyed the fruits of his labor in his office. The unmarked cassette was playing into a pair of headphones. The fact that this tape existed at all was damning enough, but the contents disturbed him greatly. The recording was a phone conversation. At one end, Galen's crackling voice, the other, the unmistakable tone of the Führer Albert Speer. He listened to it to its completion, then removed the film from the tape, concealing it within an empty bottle of pills. Galen was a true rogue agent, and the head of one of the world's largest intelligence agencies. Reinhardt was smart, and revealed much while demanding nothing. Nonetheless, Gerhard could recognize the hint of extortion. Truly, nobody was without sin. Gerhard had known many of the darker secrets of the Reich, but could only hypothesize whether Speer had been a party to them. If Galen revealed any of what he had found, the Reich would collapse in on itself. Speer had buried his past deep, yet Galen found it nonetheless. A stark warning of what he was facing. If he was to act against Reinhard Galen, he must act fast, for the safety of the Reich that his mentor had so clearly forgotten. The man with ego will be his downfall. The man's ego will be his downfall. Okay, well, that's interesting. I'm still feeling a bit sad about the fact that while we were in that operation in Ukraine, we haven't chosen the other option that said it will have unforeseen consequences or unexpected consequences. Because I thought that, this one was the safer one, but what happened is basically we were nothing and had to go back home. I'm also kind of sad about the fact that our GDP is dropping about 1.14%, but euro deficit is nearly 6, which means that debt is now at almost 102% yet again. What decisions are available? Buy foreign oil. Oh, of course we will buy foreign oil. That is something that we are definitely going to do, because that improves our social status dramatically. The People's Liberation Army of Mozambique has defeated the Popular Republic of Mozambique in a war. What about you? You're still fighting ZANU Zimbabwe. Cool. No, I'm happy that you're still fighting. I wish I could intervene, but I think our spies are no longer there, right? Yeah, they are back home. Nah, that was a fail. The squad was of children. The Reichstag was silent as the men who held the reins of state argued over the shouting and cursing from politicians. One could hear more of the same from outside. What would Hitler think of these riots on the streets? Oberwender was in rare form, his face as red as it had ever been. Your system of make-believe economics has utterly collapsed, he hissed at Erhard and Speer. I warned you of all of this. I warned you of the risk of tying our economy to what capitalists and Democrats the world over thought prudent, but you did not listen. The door to the Volkshalle began to shake, almost off its hinges, and the guards quickly moved to hold it shut. The students, the rioters, were trying to bust through into the chambers of government. The sound of gunshots began to ring through the air, and the Reichstag did not know who was firing them. Kaisinger tried to step forward to soothe the situation, but Erhard spoke first, glowing with fury. I am not the one who blew up the Middle East. If there is anyone to blame, it is our Führer and Hitler for mismanaging the economy so severely that such drastic measures were necessary. How dare you blame me for the catalyst of your own mistakes, your own idiocy? Speer had abandoned all of his calm facade. The Führer was so angry and tense as anyone else in the room. Keep the Führer's name out of your mouth, he commanded. This is no favor of the government. This is a favor of the Reich's lead economist, and they see fit to sit in this room criticizing my implementation of their own policies. As the tensions escalated, no one in the chamber noticed when the door finally gave. With a holler, the rioters rushed in, beginning to flip desks over and throw papers to the floor. A few of the bolder protesters grabbed members of the parliament, trying to beat them bloody and raw, to avenge the common people of Germany. Blood splattered over the floors of government, and Speer and his inner circle looked on in shock and horror. The Führer, safe above this madness, gave the order to the scrambling guards. Clear them out. Jesus. I mean, people are still rebellious, so fair enough. I wonder what this would look like in a moment, for example, where we would have, I don't know, Bormann and played conservative, what would happen. The game is on. Vessel locked his door and swiftly turned to leave. There were only a selected few he could trust with this information. He could only pray he would reach them before Galen realized what was missing. He marched through the office floor of the bureau Vessel, giving dismissive nods to those who met his gaze. Excuse me, Herr Kietzkin, I have a message for you. Gerhard turned to see a man in dark sunglasses. The man extended his right hand with a slip of paper, clearly expecting him to take it. His left was lazily resting on his coat pocket. Vessel reached into his pocket as though reaching for a pen. His eyes darted from side to side, establishing the visitor was alone. The man's eyebrows furrowed, and the corner of his mouth turned as he realized his buff has been called. Vessel pulled his penknife from his pocket all too slowly, as the man's left hand emerged from his coat holding a slim pistol. In one smooth motion, the man's arm straightened, the oversized suppressor brushing against Vessel's ear as he jerked to the side. Its detonation nonetheless deafened him and threw off his balance, and he fell into the assassin in a tangle of limbs. A blind thrust of the blade made contact, and as he stabbed, the knife finally connecting with the man's throat. With a gurgle, the man in sunglasses expired. Vessel arose, clutching at the side of his head. The bullet had grazed his skull, and from what he could tell, taken most of his left ear with it. The shot had roused the rest of the bureau, and Vessel had to slam down the telephone of a wide-eyed secretary who was in the process of calling the Orpo. Whatever number was dialed next, Vessel could guarantee it would not be the one that picked up. He barked out swift orders to leave. His bureau had planned for a situation similar to this, though he had never thought they would ever be implemented. His staff would scatter, and the bureau would go dark. He, however, had a meeting to attend. If Speer was compromised, he had to find the next best thing. Exiting through his own secret door, hidden in a den of electrical wires and transformers, he turned up his collar, put on his hat, and made for the Reichskanzler. Reichskanzlei. Herr Mayor here to see Reichskanzler Kaisinger. Jesus, the things are escalating really quickly. Modwain crushes the coup. Though his regime seemed shaky at one point in time, President Edward Modwain has recaptured the capital he was forced to flee from by a coup and successfully reunited Mozambique once again. Though allegations of OFN support abound, the president has remained non-committal to the subject of any deeper alignment with Washington's interests and the president had remained non-committal on the subject of any deeper alignments with Washington interests and has instead focused on a new program to deal with some of the issues his struggling country faces even years after the Germans have been ousted from power. No comment has been made from either Washington or Tokyo on the recent defeat of General Machel. Is that the Mozambique one? Wait, Mozambique is here somewhere, right? Yeah, here. Yeah, Edward Modwain. And I would not say that's the same person. Left-wing nationalism. Okay, Volksbund is done, which means we have nothing to do now until we get new focuses. Oh, the Reich is dying. That's not good. Can we do something? We got some things here. Post-production units, half. No, the madness of men. As the last rioter fled to escape the storm of bullets, the whole of the Reich's government was silent. Speer, plastered with sweat, peered down at the carnage below, the massacre he had unleashed. He looked over his shoulder to Kaisinger and Oberländer, whom he expected to voice support. Both were silent. Did they not understand the necessity of what had been done? Speer began to speak, trying to address the situation. Gentlemen of the Reichstag, we have just seen another example of failure to protect the people. Speer noticed that those men whose job it was to televise the Reichstag sessions were quietly packing their equipment. Stop, he commanded, pointing at them. The German people must see that this was necessary. They obeyed, resuming their broadcast. I have tried my best to help, to save the people of Germany. Now for all my laborious efforts, I see that I could have done more. I should have done more. I am truly, truly sorry. Speer looked more panicked than remorseful, but seemed genuine. I've only ever wanted the best for the Reich and its people. Please, I urge you, trust in me as you have always done before, and I will lead the Reich to sal. A scream cut through the air. If this is your last view of the best, for Germany, you are a madman. Schmidt looked incensed. He strode into the center of the chamber, surrounded on all sides by blood and atrocity. He yelled to be heard, his voice raw. What have you done, Speer? He glanced around the room, gesturing at the children who had given their lives to mildly inconvenience their politicians. How are the people to trust you when you shoot them down in the streets? People will trust me because I am the Führer, Speer shrieked, his face flushed with embarrassment and anger. How dare Schmidt do this in front of the Reichstag and all of Germany? Herr Schmidt, return to your seat. He did not move. Herr Schmidt, I have not given you permission to speak. This was treason. Schmidt was betraying him. Speer glanced around fearfully. Had this been planned? Who else was involved? Helmut, please sit down. Schmidt remained where he was. The Reich is dying. Okay, well, this is not good. This is not good. Anything we can do here? Hold a speech. Token political promises. Yes, we need those. 69. Vast. Not gonna do that. Oh god. So for ein. Anything in the Reichsnachrichtendienst? Bribe political enemies. Sure, let's do that. Well, this is escalating quickly. And the economy is still in the toilet. Ten more days till we get the destroyer. How's the ships? Painted black. So we have another sub here. I need to drill. Oh, you were drilling. You guys are done. Got 9 frigates, 14 destroyers, 3 white. 3 destroyers. Okay, we wanted to remove some of the frigates, but it looks like we actually have none. No extra ones. So let's put you guys onto here. And you guys onto here. Cold, hateful eyes pierced the thin air of the Reichstag. It stained a smell of blood, and Schmidt's lips contorted into a snarl. The others, all nameless party members sitting upon the rows in pathetic silence, were blocked out by his vision, and all he could see was the fool staring back at him. He didn't know what Speer had said, but the sound of his voice cut through the architect nonetheless. "I have had enough of this." "Herr Schmidt," Speer's voice shot back almost immediately, and once again the NSDAP lapsed into pitiful silence. "I would advise you, cease this unprofessionalism at once." Unprofessionalism! Rage clouded Schmidt's thoughts. At a time like this, with bodies piling across Germany and Eastern Europe, all Speer cared about was the way he spoke. "You can go to hell with your code of conduct, Speer. I will not sit in the Reichstag while what, Herr Schmidt?" Speer practically yelled backwards, his calm demeanor cracking rapidly. "I have a crisis to save Germany from, and I cannot tolerate childish tantrums." "Save it by gunning down students?" Schmidt asked, anger radiating from his body. "I cannot sit here and listen to you turn on who we promised freedom and democracy." "Do not dare say that word in this building, Schmidt," Speer screamed, slamming his fist on his desk. "Sit down and be quiet for once, you liberal-loving bastard of a man." Had he been within range, Schmidt would have thrown a punch at the decrepit Nazi, but instead he merely stood up from his seat and stormed out, leaving the Reichstag a memberless, with a fuming, anxious Speer glaring daggers at the man's back, all the while before he left. And all of Germany watched with cameras rolling. Jesus. Well, yeah, and our our situation is not great. Stability is down to 61, so now I'm happy that I actually increased it by that 5 points. Decrepit old Nazi. Where is he? Helmut Schmidt, here he is. Reichsminister for something changing. Oh god. The place of hatred's birth. So something changing came back first. "They're getting more organized," Kaisinger said with a smile on his face, demanding more. "I've gotten reports of them demanding elections." The other 3 members of the Gang of Four all smiled back. "It's finally happening. We're winning," Schmidt said. "I never thought I'd see the day," Erhard replied, beaming. "The protests, the reforms, the economy. I always thought we'd get found out and killed." "We're not out of the woods yet," Traskow interjected. "There's still a long way to go. Don't get too excited." The mood in the room grew sour. There were still swastikas flying outside, caricatures of Jews and Slavs still lined the walls of buildings. But it could change. It could all change. As if on cue, Speer burst into the room. "Kaisinger!" His voice snapped the gang out of the discussion, and they all looked towards him, suddenly filled with unease. Speer looked more than just uneasy himself. "The protesters keep filling the streets, and they're starting to ramp up their demands. The Reich seems like it's crumbling down all around me. What the hell did I ask you to help me fix this for?" He demanded as an explanation, but judging by the expression on his face, he wasn't expecting one either. With an imperceptible sigh and nod, Kaisinger got out of his seat and Speer motioned for him to leave. He gave the rest of the gangs a half glare and stepped out of the room. The rest of the gang stood in silence for a moment. Then Traskow smiled and spoke. I think we can start getting excited now. Remove 50 days from mission the Veterans. Informist cause... Okay, well, I mean, the wheel has already failed. So, I'm not sure what that's going to lead towards. What I'm worried about is the regime stability. The place of hatred's birth. When the eyes of the Reich were focused foremost on Germania, the Reichsbanner chose somewhere else to strike. In one of the greatest displays of strength the organization had ever put forth, the proud revolutionaries had struck a dangerous blow to the heart of Nazism. This poorly organized swath of rebels and Democrats has seized control of Nuremberg party grounds. In the absence of any local resistance, the Reichsbanner had lit the braziers in front of the Ehrenhalle. They gathered around the Ehrentribune as their leader began to speak. He had no microphone, so he had to scream to be heard. My friends, this memorial stands here today to remind us of the martyrs of National Socialism. Hitler erected this to remind us of his friends and cronies, dead in their attempt to destroy democracy and freedom. The crowd roared in anger. These are no martyrs, the young revolutionary proclaimed. The true martyrs of National Socialism are our friends, our family, the poor, the sick, those who suffered under the Nazi brute every day. Every German who is alive today is a martyr of National Socialism, except those men who spend their lives preserving it. Let it be known to Hitler's architect and his cronies that the first of his structures and all the others in time will crumble. The leader gave the signal and a group of men dipped their torches into Hitler's ceremonial flames. In a solemn, lockstep march, they walked towards the Ehrentribune. Let the fires of revolution burn through Germany. Let fly the Reichsbanner, black, red and gold. The crowd parted as the torchbearers made their way to the monument of hatred and set it alight. Stepping back, the revolutionaries surveyed their handiwork. The flames spread from one corner of the Ehrentribune, and the structure blackened. Before they could relish the victory, the signature noise of tanks cracking the pavement could be heard, and the sound of gunshots drowned out the crackling and sizzling fire, and the screams of the burning party members within. So Mainfranken gets 4 levels of damage in infrastructure. We lose a bit of GDP. Mainfranken will no longer be demilitarized zone. Oh, it was, okay. I didn't know when that happened, really. Highway decreased political parties, trade unions, and public meetings. And so starts the next chapter of Europe's history. Well, I wonder what that one's gonna be like. Cities on flame. Time to refocus. Well, tanks and all of the other equipment is going well. We're building 3.5 Schutzpanzer Turbo 2, Jagdpanzer Fuchs 2.55, and Leopard 2A1 1.44 per day. So this is all working well. We're also upgrading our airplanes. So as long as that is going well, I'm happy. And also, I was expecting Russia to be the biggest threat, but look at that. They're so even a match that it's not gonna happen. Cities on flame. Vessel rested in the Chancellor's study, his head wound and a missing ear being tending to... Okay, this is riddled with typo. These texts are getting harder and harder to read. So Vessel rested in the Chancellor's study, his head wound and missing ear being tended to by Keisinger's private doctor. The Chancellor has assured him of the man's trustworthiness, but that did not stop Gerhard from uneasily glaring at him whenever he went to produce some instrument from his bag. He attempted to piece together the recent events in his head, whilst he had a moment of peace. Duchke's murderer had been the flashpoint, and Gerhard was now all but certain Galen had ordered it. Further still, Bachmann had been eliminated to throw Vessel off the trail. Galen's bureau had been hoarding secrets, making hidden contacts, selling information that was not theirs to sell. They had actively been working against Vessel's own agents from the beginning. To what end? And most damning of all, Galen was extorting the Führer himself, one last insurance policy in case the depth of his double dealing came to light. How had this happened? Reinhard Galen was an intelligent man, one Vessel had looked up to. Now Galen had sunk to sending hitmen after him in broad daylight. He was sloppy, out of touch, and most of all, he could not be trusted. Trust was everything in their business. Who to trust and distrust decided who was alive and who was dead. He turned to look out of the window and glimpsed a dull red glow. He shook off the protesting doctor and went to the window. In the distance were the party rally grounds, the great theatres in which the NSDAP had performed their ecstatic rallies ever since Hitler took power. In the center was the Ehren Tribune, the vast podium wreathed with swastikas from which he had spoke and yelled and cried, which to many represented the golden days. It was burning. Time to refocus. Yeah. Our focus tree is gone. Okay, so this is gonna be interesting. But I'm kinda sure at this point that we should have went with the middle option, the neutral one. That would have fared better for what I expected. But on the other hand, we've let the gang drive us forward for years now, nearly over a decade, and you know, well, basically that's it. That really is it. Since the gang has been such instrumental tool in our playthrough, it is only a matter of finishing up what they started. Growing and growing. Nothing was getting better. The Ehren Tribune was burning and Speer could only watch. Clearly the military police he had sent in did nothing to alleviate the anger of the rioters felt. The rambunctious fools, the idealistic, short-sighted, animalistic fools, all they knew was chaos and panic, and here they were, burning down one of the most prized constructions. There were so many memories in that place. Glory echoed its field, but now it was empty, and did anything good come out of it? Perhaps one thing, Speer's realization that these fools could not be dealt with in peace. He had given them a chance to take the olive branch, and they merely spit on his hand. Now he was in his office, and here stood a member of the gang, Minister of War, Henning von Treschow. Speer coldly called, and von Treschow stood tall, unflinching, gazing at the Führer with an emotionless stare. The Minister of the Interior is busy, so I'll pass this responsibilities on to you. This revolt has gone too far. These madmen must learn what martial law is like. Treschow shifted uncomfortably. Herr Speer, Not a second more did he continue when Speer cut in, quickly and harshly. That was an order, Henning von Treschow, and you will listen to it. The time for playing games with your liberal demands is over. Germany burns, and I will destroy this alliance before I let this horde burn the rest down like the barbarians pillaged Rome. So I advise you to listen. He couldn't see it, but Treskow's hands behind his back were clutching against each other tightly, and his finely cut nails scraped against his skin in anxiety. All right then, he said, giving a short nod. Is there anything else you want me to do? Was Speer looking at him or through him? He couldn't tell. No, Herr Treschow. I want you to focus all of your attention on this. They will learn the value of violence and discipline. The whip will crack and... Speer's fist trembled. They will learn. As a Prussian, I'm certain you agree. Treskow's face said anything but, now go. You are dismissed. Albert Speer's architectural house of dominoes begins to fall. Well, all of these people are actually against him. So the only thing that he could do is basically at this point change all of his staff and make sure that these guys will no longer bother him or try to circumvent him. Which is going to be hard. You know, I'm not saying that it would be easy. Okay, 3 days till we get the Advanced Destroyer. I'm gonna end the episode there. I'm worried. I'm worried what's gonna happen next. And we still bleed in deficit and in economy. Actually, let me see. How's the other nations doing? The United States are growing, and so is Japan. So this is really just hurting us. The game is having a giggle, and we are winning it. Okay, so the Advanced Destroyer hull has been finished, or at least the research into it has been finished. And next I'm going to shadow... what could we do here? Construction speed. Yeah, let's do military building construction 3. Forts, radar, and anti-air. As the main bulwark against enemy attack, must constantly be retrofitted, expanded, and maintained. As our capabilities expand, our armies will be strengthened along with them, and victory ever more possible. Our already strong defenses shall become even stronger and more reliable in the face of an enemy attack. So barracks and prisons construct... Oh, wait, that's not construction. That's military. Ah, okay. Admin office. Oh, these are all specialized. Okay. So that's not what I wanted. Dang it. Okay. So let's go with this one. Comparted guidance radar. Most naval radar systems in 1960s are fitted onto the hull as a separate module rather than as an integral part of the ship itself. Though easier to build, ships with modular radar cannot draw as much power from its infrastructure, so air accidents, night operations penalty, and bad weather penalty further decreased by 5%. And okay, that's it. So we're ending in a bit of a precarious way. No more national focuses for us for this moment. And there is nothing to do but let the game play out in front of us. The moment we get the choices, the moment we are going to do something. Let me just end this by going through and seeing if there is anything else that we can do. Nothing here and nothing in Iran. Nothing here either. Oh, okay. Economic status is 0, social status is 0. Great! Thanks, game! All of my hard work is now done. And, done and gone. Nothing in Zollverein and Reichsnachrichtendienst. Nothing. They could go to Burgenstadt. No, Ordenstadt, Burgenstadt. But hey, yeah, weapon shipments to Iran, that doesn't seem like the thing we want to do. Okay, so thank you very much. See you in the next episode.